The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever FAB, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Shirley. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fab, a segment of the Forever FAB podcast where I review products, services, experiences, and frankly, whatever, in 15 minutes or less. If the full-length podcast is a couture dress, for example, then 15 Minutes of Fab is like a button-down French cuff white shirt paired with leather leggings. If you don't have time to tune into the full-length podcast, then check out 15 Minutes of Fab, just a small dose. Some have considered it truth and beauty or plastic surgery secrets or as a nerdy or academic take on wellness and beauty with a dash of fashion. Consider it what you may. My aim is to engage you as a credible and authoritative voice in most, if not all aspects of beauty and wellness with a dash of fashion. That includes products, wellness services, technologies, innovations, new scientific research, and plastic surgery. As the founder of Holistic Plastic Surgery, my approach to beauty is through a lens of wellness that's grounded in science, backed by medical study and research, strengthened by my clinical experience, and bolstered by my surgical training with the use of principles and techniques of plastic surgery. And then there's my love of fashion. Of course, I feel uniquely qualified to talk with you about beauty, wellness, aesthetics, and plastic surgery, as well as products and services within those spaces, not only because of my extensive, and may I add, expensive training and expansive background, but also because I'm one of you. Many of the human issues around aging and being a fierce fab person, as well as an agent for positive change, I live these too, and I try. You're not alone. So together we can help the world become a more beautiful, forever fab place. So if you'll have me and give me at least 15 minutes of your time, let's get at it. In this new year, I've decided that it will be one of expansion and discovery. So I'll explore all sorts of topics, near and possibly far-fetched, while still focusing on the topics that make the Forever Fab podcast, well, fabulous, namely fashion, the art of living well or wellness, and beauty. As part of my philosophy of holistic plastic surgery, which I created well over probably now 15 years ago, where I believe that beauty emanates from within, wellness plays an integral role in my practice. And this goes for many aspects of life that help you to live in grace and beauty, including nutrition, exercise, products, services, technologies, mind, body, spirit, and science. The title of today's episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast is It Fake or Real? Part 3, AI and Wellness. Well, the topic of AI is an interesting and sometimes hotly debated one. For something that is without emotion, AI can be an emotional discussion for some people. I'm fascinated by the possibilities that AI may bring to humanity, but I'm also cautious and concerned about the potential minimization of what is beautiful in humanity. So let's take another dive, but not so deep, into AI and how it affects some of my favorite topics. This week, wellness. In this 3-part mini-series of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast, I'll talk about how AI may influence who we are and how we live our lives vis-a-vis the 3 pillars of this podcast: fashion, the art of living well or wellness, and beauty. Welcome to Part 3, AI and Wellness. In last week's episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever FAB podcast, I talked about the potential of AI in general and in fashion. In case you missed it, here's a brief review. What is AI? It stands for artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? A few definitions are offered. McKinsey offers, quote, artificial intelligence is a machine's ability to perform the cognitive functions we usually associate with human minds, end quote. Actually, AI has been around since the 1950s. It was initially proposed as an academic principle, but not much happened with it back then. In the years and decades to follow, and the years since, there's been so much renewed interest and enthusiasm about it, leading to rapid advancement and innovations in the field. Wikipedia offers this one. Quote, AI applications include advanced web engine searches, recommendation systems, understanding human speech, self-driving cars, generative or creative tools such as ChatGPT, automated decision-making, and competing at the highest level of strategic game systems such as chess, end quote. Well, today, I'm talking about AI and wellness. Now that you have a basic understanding of what the technology is, let's look at what the potential applications are specifically in the wellness industry. The wellness industry has already embraced AI, actually, when it comes to mental health. According to the Brookings Institute, quote, mental health companies are rapidly building solutions for monitoring and the mental health issues that rely on just a phone or a wearable device. But to do so, companies are relying on what's called affective computing to detect and interpret human emotions. It's a field that's forecasted to become a $37 billion industry by 2026, end quote. In a publication by Peter Cho and his co-authors, there's a strong argument in favor of AI and wellness and healthy living. He and his fellow co-authors purport that, well, because there's an increased demand for more control of our health and also more control of our health at our fingertips, combined with wearable devices and the tremendous potential or, capacity of smartphones, Peter Cho and his colleagues state that, quote, AI algorithms can improve wellness assessment, aid in personalized intervention strategies to promote healthier lifestyle behaviors, and uncover previously unknown disease risk factors, end quote. That's pretty major. However, AI and wellness is still an emerging and evolving landscape. It has yet to be repeatedly tested and proven as advantageous or effective or beneficial. Dr. Lydia Konstopoulos, PhD, categorizes AI in wellness into, quote, 3 mediums in an effort to more closely assess emerging AI technologies used within the field of wellness. And these 3 mediums are intangible, tangible, and embedded, end quote. In her paper, she describes each one as follows, quote, intangible AI does not have a physical form. Instead, it can be communicated through a sound, a notification on a device, or invisible computation running in the background and called upon on demand for information or advice. For example, at the University of Southern California, USC Institute for Creative Technologies, they are conducting research to create what they have dubbed a virtual therapist named Ellie. Through a webcam and a microphone, the AI is able to process and analyze the emotional cues derived from the patient's face and the variation in expressions and tone of voice. Tangible AI is embodied in a physical form, the doctor says. And in this physical form, humans can interact with it. It can be AI in a vehicle, a robotic pet, a doll, or factory equipment, etc. As an example, there is such a thing that occurs in terms of tangible AI in the sleep science space. Quote, Zeek Smart Pillow, ZEEQ Smart Pillow, which is a smart home device compatible with other home devices and can communicate with other AI devices such as Amazon, Alexa, and others for voice-controlled sleep reports. It tracks sleep, duration, snoring, volume, and movements to determine a baseline of habitual sleeping and establish what is a normal sleep cycle for the user, end quote. major. The third category of AI in wellness, as per Dr. Konstopoulos, is embedded AI, quote, which is when AI is fused with our brain, either through an invasive or non-invasive mechanism. While it remains a technology in its very early stages, it is a form of brain-computer interface, or BCI, that has the capability to augment the human brain in terms of intelligence, mood, etc. End quote. That one freaks me out. Like, at the same time that it's like, oh my gosh, mind-blowing, it freaks me out. Although in the experimental stage, quote, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, is exploring research in neuroscience and brain-computer interface under the BRAIN Initiative. Some of the research projects in this initiative focus on neural connections of the brain that can be stimulated and or interacted with in a way that produces a healing response or a sensation to areas where there is none. Among other companies, Neuralink is actively pursuing research to connect the brain to the computer and leverage the AI capability with the brain. Specifically, they are developing ultra-high bandwidth brain-machine interface to connect humans to computers. This technology will create a new understanding of emotional and mental well-being, end quote. Wow. I mean, if my microphone weren't on this desk sitting next to me, I would drop the mic. This is all very exciting, but admittedly, for me, a bit frightening at the same time. There are even AI-based devices and products that may help enhance your personal wellness journey. I found this one particularly interesting, or frankly kind of weird, on screenrant.com. Quote, the U-Scan by Withings, which is designed to be attached inside a toilet bowl. This device detects various biomarkers found in urine, providing continuous urinalysis at home, end quote. I mean, who wants that? Is that going to be a topic of conversation? Hey, hi, how are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling these days? I've been feeling okay, but I've noticed that there's been a change in my urine biomarkers over the past 2 or 3 days, and I'm just wondering what's going on. Okay. There's even a wearable stethoscope by Avice MD, and that's AEVICE MD. So, okay. I guess there are some people who want to listen to their heartbeat or breath all the time, every day, 24/7, 365. Have at it. So far, AI is being used in the health and wellness industries to do a number of things, including, but certainly not limited to, power self-care apps, create self-care plans, develop personalized wellness plans, optimize employee health programs, increase mental health awareness, streamline diagnoses and improve clinical outcomes in medical settings, scan voluminous volumes of medical data, increase productivity and efficiency in medicine, improve decision-making in a clinical setting, reduce the cost of care, improve patient care, reduce staff stress from creating a decreased workload and reducing inefficiencies, and improve health monitoring. So AI is going in decidedly, and also going into our bodies and brains in an attempt to get to know us better, to make improvements to our lives, to empower us through self-knowledge, but also, I think, to hand off that data to manufacturers and retailers who would like to influence us to buy their products. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it will stop. AI will become smarter and smarter and more efficient and pervasive and universal. I doubt it will become wholly or completely intuitive, but I think it'll get pretty close. So, from my perspective, here are the challenges for AI in health and wellness. Again, at least according to how I see them. There's a possibility of inaccurate information and errors. There's a lack of a holistic viewpoint, and that's big for me. There's questionable privacy and confidentiality, although you would think that if everything is going on, in an algorithm in a machine, there aren't really people at various points to be able to look at your data, but I don't know. There's a risk of creating reduced employment, right? Those people who are doing all that data entry, where are they going to go? There may be training difficulties. Imagine we all have to learn a completely new language to understand this AI and how to use it and to understand how it would benefit us, as well as the disadvantages of using it. I believe there are going to be significant cybersecurity risks. The human element and a human interface will still be required, but to what capacity, I'm not sure. And what are the ethics of transferring our sensitive data to machines? And also there's the issue of AI on being embedded in more devices. The more devices we have, the more screen time we use. And the more screen time, is that going to lead to increased disconnection and increased loneliness? That kind of seems counterproductive to the whole shebang in the first place. And in the same vein, will more devices lead to more exposure to radiation? That, especially for the brain, is definitely a counterproductive health risk. So that's my assessment of AI in the wellness field so far. Exciting, but frightening, curious, cautious, and concerned. I'll be watching this space for even more innovations and improvements, and I'll keep you posted. I do hope AI can help us to create a more beautiful life, but certainly not at the expense of our current one. This concludes this episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever FAB podcast, as well as the AI miniseries. As always, stay beautiful, real, and forever fabulous, inside and out. As always, if you love this episode of the Forever FAB podcast, please share it and subscribe to the feed. Listen to past episodes or check out who's coming up next on foreverfabpodcast.com. If you enjoy listening to the Forever FAB podcast and you want more, get more audio and visuals with a membership through Patreon. Choose the gold, platinum, or diamond tier for premium added content, special co-hosts, lifestyle videos, branded merchandise, and maybe even private access to my clubhouse by visiting patreon.com/foreverfab. If you're a founder or you represent a beauty brand and you want to be featured on an episode of the Forever FAB podcast segment of 15 Minutes of Fab, send me some stuff. Visit foreverfabpodcast.com and fill out the contact form. For general holistic beauty tips or to set up an appointment with me to discuss your personalized options for leveling up your beauty, visit elementsandgraces.com and sign up for my newsletter or just give us a call. And for an online e-consultation on time, anytime, and on your time, visit clicklift.com for your wellness, plastic surgery, beauty, and wellness questions on the go. That's click-lift.com. It's time for the elevated house call. Jet Set Beauty RX offers beauty on-call services near your home or other domicile, delivering beauty in the privacy of a medically equipped mobile aesthetics unit. Reserve your appointment at jetsetbeautyrx.com. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever FAB podcast episode. Until next time, stay beautiful and fabulous, inside and out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever FAB, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.